Good morning everybody, thank you for joining me. I always think that January, after the initial New Year, New Me sort of shenanigans, becomes quite a difficult month. It's not a month with a lot going for it really. It's cold, it's a bit miserable, the evenings are dark, it just feels like a long month, doesn't it? And it's always a month where my mind, and I know a lot of other people's minds as well, turn to holidays, and I think it's just such a great time of year to think about sunshine and warmth and beaches and travel and being somewhere hot. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to make a video talking about holidays and travel. I've been quite lucky. I worked on cruise ships. I've talked about it before on here. I worked on cruise ships as an assistant purser back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I did that for about 5 years, and I was lucky enough to travel to all sorts of amazing places all over the world. I was really lucky. I got different itineraries all the time, and so although I haven't travelled to a lot of places in depth, that enabled me to see a little snapshot of loads and loads of different places all over the world. I'm thinking of making a video about my cruise ship travels and also working on the cruise ships. If you'd be interested in that, let me know. I think that might be a good subject for a video. Yeah, so I have been lucky enough to travel quite extensively in my life, and also since then I've been on some lovely holidays as well and travelled again quite extensively. So I thought it would be a nice opportunity today to talk to you about what our plans are for travelling this year, both abroad and in the UK. And I also wanted to talk to you about my travel bucket list, sort of long-term goals, if you like, long-term travel goals, I guess. So for us at the moment, because we both still work full-time, holidays are very much a relaxation thing. I think when we go on holiday, we want to switch off, lie by a pool, enjoy some reading time, eat nice food, drink cocktails, just generally very much it's all about relaxing. So we tend to do resort-based holidays, hotel-based holidays, quite a luxury sort of end generally, and that's the sort of thing we like doing. I think as we get nearer to retirement and we're not working so much, and at that point we would probably like to do some more travelling type holidays where you move from place to place, or you see more in depth of a country than just going and staying in a hotel, I guess. So this year we are pretty much organised already for our holidays, as I generally am by January. Then our first trip this year is we are going to Seville for a city break at the end of this month. I bought this for Ashley for his birthday present. His birthday was on New Year's Eve, and really looking forward to this. It was a cheap deal I found on Travelzoo, I think it was, and we're paying, I think it's about £120 a person for flights back and forth to Seville and 3 nights accommodation with breakfast in a 3-star hotel. So in the centre of Seville, so absolutely knockdown price, very, very cheap. But Seville's somewhere we've wanted to go for ages. I just love a city break. I really enjoy it. We went to Lisbon last year and that was lovely as well, and we've done lots of city breaks throughout the last 15 years in Europe. We try and go somewhere maybe once a year. I think we've missed out a couple of years, but generally we try and do a city break in Europe once a year. So Seville is such an interesting city. I'm really excited about going there. All the tapas and, you know, it's all about the food for me, isn't it? But tapas and lovely wine and obviously the architecture and all the cathedral and all that sort of thing. So yeah, really looking forward to Seville at the end of this month. And plus it's nice to have something to look forward to in January, going away particularly. Then at the end of March, we are having a week in Cyprus. I've been to Cyprus before on a family holiday with Will about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more now, and we really liked Cyprus as an island. We hired a car and we drove around a lot, and the mountain villages are so nice. You can really get sort of off the beaten track in Cyprus, we found. Also driving on the left, I really like that in Cyprus. I don't mind driving on the right, but it's more hassly and not as intuitive, is it? It's very natural driving on the left, obviously. So the fact you can do that in Cyprus appeals to me as well. We're just having a week. We're staying in a hotel in Paphos, I never know how you say that, Paphos I think. And we'll probably hire a car and drive around. I don't know what the weather will be like, but yeah, just a nice relaxing week at the sort of very end of March, beginning of April. Looking forward to that. Then once a year, as longer term viewers will know, we have a big family holiday. My parents very generously take us all on holiday. When I say us all, that's myself, Ashley and William, and my brother, his wife, and their 2 teenage children. We've been doing this since William was 5, was the first year, and we've been to some amazing places. We've been to Mauritius 3 times, we've been to the Maldives 3 times, we've been to Dubai, St Lucia, Antigua, a couple of other places in the Caribbean, some amazing holidays. And then as my dad gets a bit older, and as you know, he has dementia, the long haul travel is a little bit much, and last year we decided to go to Greece, to Halkidiki. We always go to an all-inclusive resort, it just works well going as a big family, and we had a really nice hotel, we had a really nice time. Nice hotel as well, but we had a really nice time. We enjoyed Greece a lot. It was the mainland Greece, Halkidiki, and we went to a resort called the Ecos Olivia. Ecos have lots of resorts throughout Greece, and they have another one recently opened in Corfu, and that's where we're going this year. The format of the family holiday is slightly different this year. William is not coming with us, and my brother only really likes to go on holiday for a week. That's his optimum amount of time. 2 weeks doesn't suit him. So Ashley and myself are going with my parents for 2 weeks, and then my brother and his family are joining us for the second week. So looking forward to that one as well. And then in September, this isn't booked yet, but Ashley and I will no doubt be going back to Halkidiki, to the Seni Resort, which we've been going to for about 15 years. I don't think we've missed a year yet. Some years we've been twice. We absolutely love it there. And very luxurious 10 days will no doubt be spent there in September. In fact, we were talking about it last night, funnily enough. On my wish list for UK breaks this year, I suspect that we will be exploring Bath a little bit more. William, our son, is at university in Bath, for those who don't know. He just started in September last year. And we had a really nice couple of days in Bath at the Christmas markets in November, and he came and joined us for some time, which was lovely. And I think we'd like to go to Bath again sometime this year and spend another couple of days there. Such a lovely city. Obviously, while he's still there, make the most of that. This year I also really want to go to London pre-Christmas and see the Christmas lights. I haven't seen the London Christmas lights for about 20 years, I don't think. Excuse me. Really would like to see them, and perhaps go to the Winter Wonderland, or perhaps not. That sounds a bit full of children, but I would like to go up to London pre-Christmas this year, so that's also on my wish list. And then something that's been on my travel bucket list for a long time in the UK is either Oxford or Cambridge. I've never been to either of them, and I would really like to go, so perhaps one of those for a couple of days as well. And also, for those who don't know, I originally come from Bournemouth. That's where I was born and brought up and lived the first 20 years of my life, and we had a couple of years. I go back to the Bournemouth area quite often and stay with my parents. Probably we catch up probably at least once every couple of months. But I would like to have a couple of days in Bournemouth itself with Ashley. We did this about 2 years ago, I think, with Will, and we really enjoyed it. And I'm just going to some old haunts. I never get the time to do it. When I'm with my parents, obviously I'm enjoying spending time with them and doing stuff with them. And it would just be nice to have a couple of days with Ashley and sort of drive around and go to all the places that I remember. So that's something that I'd like to do. I don't know if that will happen this year or not, but it's on my list, so we shall see. Perhaps it will. I have another list as well, a longer term travel bucket list, and I thought I would share that with you. And this is sort of the list that is for perhaps when we're retired, or, you know, in a few years' time when we're not working so much. Any time really, but things I would like to do before I die. That's a bucket list, isn't it, I guess. And the first thing on that list is something that I've been talking about doing. Do you remember I went to Las Vegas last year with my friend Diane? We talked about doing another trip. We would both like to go to New Orleans. That I think will be our next trip, because we got on so well doing our trip together last year. We'd like to do something else, and I think we're going to do New Orleans. We talked about doing it this year, but money, finances, time, all those things, mostly money, we're going to leave it and perhaps revisit the idea again next year, but that's very definitely on the list. The next thing on my list is something that we nearly did this year. We talked about doing, but again it came down to money. It was something that I wanted to do for my 50th birthday, which was last year, and I didn't have any sort of particular 50th birthday celebration, but I've had my eye on this for years. As I mentioned earlier, I used to work on cruise ships, and I always said after that I've no real desire to do a cruise as a passenger, really, but the cruise that I would like to do, if I was to do one, would be a transatlantic from Southampton to New York on the Cunard line. I worked for P&O, not Cunard, when I don't think I could go and cruise on a P&O ship having worked for them even 20 years ago. It would just be too odd. That's sort of the original cruise, isn't it, before cruises became a thing that everybody did, the whole Southampton to New York original transatlantic cruise. So that would be the one that I would do, and then with a few days stay in New York on the end. I would love to do that, and we really looked into that this year, but the way I wanted to do it, I wanted a very expensive cabin on the ship and all that sort of thing. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in style, I guess is what I'm saying. And at the moment it's just we need a new kitchen more than we need a cruise to New York. So that one's on the back burner. The next thing I've got on my list is a safari. Never done a safari. I have had a couple of holidays to Africa. Mum and I went to the Gambia when I was working on the cruise ship, so I took Mum on holiday to the Gambia, and I think that's maybe the only place I've been to in Africa. Been to Morocco and Tunisia, which are, they are technically Africa, aren't they? But I would like to go and do a safari at some point in my life, just to say I've done it and to see the animals in the wild. I think that would be amazing. I'd like to do a train trip through Canada, through all the mountains. You can do the sort of train trip across, can't you? And I think that would be amazing. I feel like that's a thing for when I'm an old person. Oh, if you're watching probably think I'm an old person now, but older than I am now. Sort of in your 70s kind of thing, I sort of reckon that would be. And I've also got Thailand on my bucket list. I've been to Thailand on the cruise ships, and Ashley and I also had a holiday to Thailand when I was very first pregnant with William. So back in 1999. We had a fantastic time. We had 3 days in Hong Kong, 3 days in Bangkok, and then a week down on the beach in Thailand. It's an absolute bargain. I think we paid about 600 quid each, including the flights, all the flights. Anyway, I digress. 600 quid was probably more than it is now then. But anyway, it was cheap, whatever. But it was lovely. We really, really liked Thailand, and we would like to go back sometime. So that's another one on the list. I've got South America on my list as well. It's a place called the Iguazu Falls, massive waterfall, bit like the Niagara Falls, but the Iguazu Falls. And I like that because it sits on the cusp, where it's located is on the cusp of Peru, Argentina and Paraguay, 3 different countries. I have been to South America. I've been to Colombia, and I've been to Costa Rica on the cruise ships, and I've been to Panama as well. But very much just there for the day and out again, so I wouldn't say that I've explored it in any great depth, but I would like to go to South America, Buenos Aires, and possibly Peru as well. Lots of places in South America I'm interested in. I've also got Russia on my bucket list. You can do a city break to St. Petersburg now, can't you? Sort of 4 or 5 days. I think that might be an option to do. I would like to go to either St. Petersburg or Moscow, or both. I think there's a lot of history and interesting stuff to see there. Next on my bucket list is Bora Bora, which is a tiny island in French Polynesia, and I went there when I worked on the ships, and it was the most beautiful island I'd ever seen, and I vowed that I would go back to it one day. It's a long old way to Tahiti, isn't it? A long old way. and I've never made it back there yet, but I would like to go there again. It was just beautiful, just magical turquoise sea, white sand. I remember cycling around the island, and we hired bikes, several of us, and cycled around and just stopped at beaches. It was just lovely. Very fond memories of Bora Bora. In fact, there are a lot of places in the South Pacific really beautiful, but Bora Bora is on my list. The final place on my bucket list is Scandinavia. I have been to Alaska, which obviously is not in Scandinavia, but is in that northern direction, isn't it? But I think it would be nice to visit Norway or Sweden or somewhere in that area. Just quite interested in that. Oh, I've really enjoyed sitting, drinking my coffee and chatting about travelling. It's one of my favourite subjects, is holidays and foreign travels. So let me know either what your holiday plans are for this year, or what's on your bucket list, your travel bucket list, where you'd really like to go, in the comments. I always love reading about other people's ideas for travel. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.